Hey, what's up and welcome back everyone to another Warzone 2 video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best graphics settings as well as the best controller settings and keyboard and mouse settings. You guys know I'm a hybrid player. I play with both controller and keyboard and mouse competitively in this game. So if you're looking for the best settings across the board, I'm also a super kind of tech geek. I used to do tech reviews on this channel. I'm your guy. This is my type of video. This is where I excel. I also excel with gun guides. If you guys are looking for guns to use into Warzone 2, not really sure what to use. That was yesterday's video. We covered the best meta weapons based off of the statistically fastest time to kills. That'll be linked at the end. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in and take a look at the graphics settings. So we are jumped in right now. This is after Warzone has been updated. Now, Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone are downloaded off of the same engine. So a lot of new settings came when they introduced, as you can see here, we have DMZ, we have Battle Royale, and of course, we have Modern Warfare 2. And they're all living under the same engine when it comes to settings. So let's go ahead and go through down the list. Once again, we're going to cover graphics settings. We're also going to cover some Windows settings as well. Then we're going to cover controller, and then we're going to cover keyboard and mouse. So always want to make sure you are playing an exclusive full screen, if at all possible. I've got the Asus ROG PG279QM. That's a 240 hertz 1440p monitor. If you're looking for a new monitor, that is the monitor to go towards. I've got a 4090. Fortunate. Refresh rate is 240. Rocking in 1440. This is all going to be kind of dependent on you, but let's get into a little bit more here. So for me personally, I'm going to be rocking an unlimited frame rate because I want my GPU to excel, because I've got, you know, kind of a state-of-the-art PC. For you, fortunately, what some people will do is they'll rock custom and they'll max out their frame rate, and then they'll do something like inside of the menu they want to rock 60, and then inside of, you know, out of focus they rock 30. Basically that prevents, not necessarily overheats, but it just takes a little bit of less load off your GPU, and that can help out there. If you ever have issues, your game looks weird, or if it's just really stuttery, one of the things you can try is restarting your shaders, but ideally that's not an issue for you. I've went ahead and upped my brightness by 5, so it's 55 brightness, just so I can see in the dark shadows a little bit more, which is more of an issue for Warzone than it is for multiplayer. I don't rock focus mode. I don't rock high dynamic range. If you do, and that's your monitor, good for you, but I don't use that. We'll go over to quality. This is all going to be custom because I changed things up based off of the individual performance that I've been noticing in the game. So when you see the way that I'm going through my settings, I obviously have a really nice GPU and a nice CPU, but I want the game to look good, but I still want it to perform, right? I still want to, I'm not running around this game in ultra quality because I would need fast frame rate so I can, you know, feel smooth and get my gunshots off. So this is a really nice hybrid between high quality, but still high frame rates. Anti-aliasing, you're going to have to filmic SMA 2 times. If you've ever been in the pregame lobby and you've seen your character, you know, kind of like walking around in the custom game, and you see all these speckles across their face where it looks pretty bad, I'll go ahead and show you what I mean. This is what's causing that, right? So we can see our character, it looks great, everything looks fine. But if I were to come over here and I were to change to SMA 2 times, not filmic, you'll see he's got all this grain. I'll have my editor step in. And on some characters, it's worse than others, but you get all these little black dots. If you look at like my blue on the scar, you get all these little black dots across your screen. That's what solves that. If you're ever wondering what that is what you need to change to filmic. Anti-aliasing quality, you can have anywhere you want based off of your GPU. The game looks really good at low, but me personally, because I make thumbnails and I make YouTube videos, I'm gonna rock at least normal. Video memory scale, I have set to 90. Texture resolution, I have set to low. Once again, based off of your personal needs, you can set that higher, but I still think the game looks really good on low. Normal, nearby level of detail is high. Distant level of detail is high. That makes your gun look really good, in my opinion. I've noticed that. Clutter draw distance is short. Particle quality is high. Particle quality level is high. Bullet impacts and sprays I have on. Keep in mind, there are always the trolls out there that like to spray pictures of people. I'm not sure if there's a spray in Warzone 2 of someone, you know, that can like sit there on a wall, but people love to pull those traps. Shader quality is low. Tessellation is off. Terrain memory is max. And then definitely want on-demand texture streaming off. That can cause a lot of issues for stability in game. Streaming quality, we're going to have normal. Volumetric quality, low. I wish I could turn this off because as you saw in my previous video, in my last video when I was talking about the top 10 loadouts, a lot of those guns had suppressors on them. And with suppressors in real life, a lot of those gases no longer escape through the end of the barrel. They get pushed back into the gun and it causes a lot of blowback or gas in your face. Hey, props to them for realism, but you get all this volumetric smoke in your face as you're trying to fully auto. And it's rough. I wish I could just turn off volumetric so I can, you know, see I think that's part of the physics there, but I have it low for that reason. Deferred physics quality, this has to do with the physics quality of the water. I go ahead and have that off. Same thing with the water caustics. Good for them for looking beautiful, but I don't want anything obscuring my ability to see other people in water. Shadow map resolution, a lot of people put this to very low, but sometimes it's nice, especially when we're playing in urban environments, when we can see someone's shadow above us. That might actually give us cues. Now granted, you are going to see shadows on very low, but they're going to be really jagged, and it just, I can't. For me, my personal OCD, I like to rock normal. Screen-based space shadows I have off. Spot shadow is low. Spot cache is low. Particle lighting is normal. Ambient occlusion is off. That is a big killer in quality and frame rate. Screen space reflections is off. Static reflection quality is off. Weather grid volumes is off. This is all of the things that they really like to push your GPU on. And yes, I realize I have all of this VRAM to use, but at the end of the day, even if you're maxing out your monitor frame rate, the more time that it takes your GPU to process all of these frames, even if you're maxing out your individual monitor's frame rate, you're still increasing the render time, even though you're maxing out your monitor refresh rate. I know there's a whole conversation there to get really techie on, but I still like to turn a lot of these off if I don't need them on my end. NVIDIA Reflex low latency I have on because I have a 4090. If you are CPU bound, you can run on plus boost. The way you know whether you're CPU or GPU bound is if your CPU, up in the top, you can see there, I have GPU time and CPU time. If your CPU time is higher than your GPU time, that means your GPU is waiting for your CPU to generate those frames. So your GPU is waiting. And so basically what on plus boost does is it says, hey, I'm not gonna allow my GPU to spool down waiting for that CPU to produce the frame. I'm going to force you at your boost clock. And while it may be more GPU power draw, it can result in more stability. So try out on if you have a really solid GPU. If you start to notice, some bad frame performance or jitters, you might try on plus boost, and it's basically just going to lock your GPU into a high performance mode. Definitely want depth of field off, world motion blur off, and weapon motion blur off, and film grain all the way to 0. I do want to point out one thing. Okay, the sale ends soon. If you guys didn't notice, this is the Stealth Eagle cap for my merch drop. If you guys weren't tracking, we have a merch drop that just went live. It's all about minimal vibes and ice blue colors. You guys know Caldera is now far behind us, but you guys knew I was a menace in the planes there. The Caldera Flight School t-shirt is the sister to the Verdansk Helicopter Tour t-shirt. We also have a minimal shirt here with like an ice blue embroidered, so that's gonna last for years to come. Same thing with this. Not many people have a hoodie in this color, so I think it'd be a great addition to your wardrobe. Same there with the joggers with the black embroidered. You also have the stealth hat that I'm wearing. You've got koozie, an icy Nalgene, and then some sticker packs as well. Just wanted to shout that out. That'll be linked in the pinned comment and the description. I'm super proud of that merch drop. Moving forward, we're going into view. I like to rock 120 FOV. With this game though, it seems like there might be a little bit more of a red dot meta than there was with a VLK meta. We talked about this in the previous video, where high range optics are actually a lot more shaky in this game than they have been in previous games. So it might be useful to rock something like a red dot and then either lower your FOV or rock something like independent. I know it's a little weird to say, but if you're struggling to hit people with iron sights or with red dots, you might consider lowering your FOV or switching over to independent. But me, I'm a streamer, I'm a content creator, I like to move fast, I like to look like I'm moving fast, so I max out that FOV. Weapon field of view, rock this thing wide. What that does is it makes the gun appear farther away from you. And with the gun farther away from you, it makes the recoil appear less intense. It also makes the gun take up less of your screen, right? If the gun is here, like close, it's going to take up more of your screen. Whereas if it's wide, you're gonna be able to see more. On top of that, if a gun is shaking right here, it seems like it's moving a lot. Whereas I move it over here the same amount, it doesn't seem like it's moving as much, even though my hands are moving the same amount. It's just because it is relative to your face, how much it appears to be moving. So we rock wide. Third person field of view, vehicle field of view, first person camera movement, and we want least, third person, and game perspective. Now we've got some additional things here before we go into controller and keyboard and mouse, so make sure to hang around. If you guys have learned something new, or if you're going through the motions right now, heading into update day, getting ready to launch the game, make sure you are subscribed to this channel because we have so much value coming your way. We are just now passing through 500,000 subscribers here in the Academy, so a huge milestone to take part in today. Next up, we have interface. I like to rock default. What I really like to go into here is I go into filter 2. I believe this is Deuteranopia from, if you guys remember from Warzone, there's like Deuteranopia, Tritanopia, and one other. I believe filter 2 is Deuteranopia. It's meant for color blindness, but it just makes the game look better. I rock the intensity to 100%, and it makes the game feel more vibrant and bright, almost like I have filters. If you guys remember the old NVIDIA filters videos I used to do, it makes the game look really, really sharp. If you wanted to bring in your HUD, you can do this as well. I like mine all the way at the edge, just because that's how I like to do things. But technically, your eyes are having to move more if they are tucked into the corners, which I don't mind, but that's what I go for. Fortunately, we are defaulted to square. You guys want a square minimap. And then the rest here, I go ahead and all keep standard on. For telemetry, I have everything on except for GPU temp and VRAM usage and clock. For telemetry size, I have default. And parallax effects, keep that off. Okay, that was a huge issue for stability early on in the game that was causing people's games to crash. Keep that off. The center dot, keep that off as well. A center dot seems like it would be a good idea, but actually as that center dot moves around on your gun, that actually is accurate to what the gun is going to shoot. So when you're running around, you'll see the gun kind of like shake. You want that to be true because that is what you're actually shooting at. Also, you want to skip the introduction movie. Have that on. It makes you, skip through a little bit faster when you're trying to get into game. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple things on Windows as well real quick, just so you guys know, how to make sure you're optimized. There's a whole rabbit hole you can go down with PC optimization, but I will say some basic things. Just go into your bottom right, type in game mode. Make sure game mode is on. That helps your PC's performance, but we want to make sure game bar is off because that's an extra process running in the background. On top of that, our graphics settings, we want to make sure we have hardware accelerated GPU scheduling on. That is key for stable frame rates and high performance. Okay, so all you have to do is type in game mode, make sure it's on, game bar, make sure it's off, graphics settings up here in the top right, and then you can turn on hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Obviously, you want to make sure your drivers are up to date, especially with new games. After the game's been launched for a while, you might find a driver that's really stable and you want to stick with that and maybe not update immediately. But right now, as the game's rolling out and all the 40 series GPUs are out and PS4, PS5, all this, they're optimizing for this. This is a huge priority for them. So make sure you are updating your drivers frequently. Very last thing you can do is you can go into NVIDIA control panel. You basically just right click NVIDIA control panel, go down into adjust desktop color settings. And if you want, purely personal preference, you can up your digital vibrance. What that does is it doesn't affect your frame rate in game, but it makes things a lot more vibrant. As you can see, all the colors are now popping. That's what it's going to look like in game, as opposed to very dull. I'm going to rock at 50 just as a baseline with those in-game changes I made. And that's going to be my baseline heading into Modern Warfare 2, or rather Warzone 2. All right, let's get into controller settings. So for controller settings, we're going to rock controller. I rock just a standard controller. What I do rock, or at least standard controller settings, and the reason I'm able to rock that is because I have a SCUF controller. This is my custom Iceman Isaac SCUF. It has paddles on the back. Just so you're aware, that's why I'm not making any changes. If I want a jump shot or if I want a slide shot, that's how I'm able to perform at a high level without changing any of these. I can bind any of these buttons on the back to any of the face buttons, so I can jump and aim without having to take my finger off the right stick. These are also digital triggers, so I can basically shoot crazy fast like mouse click, and that'll allow me to shoot fast in an FPS game like that. Trigger effect, I want to go ahead and have off. Even if I had a regular, I would probably go ahead and keep it. I understand there's some cool realism that can happen in the PS5 controller with haptic effects, but I just want to keep it off because I just want to be able to fire as quick as possible. I rock 6.8. I usually bump it up to about 7.8 as well. Vertical sensitivity multiplier, I keep that. Vertical aim assist axis, I keep all that standard. Aim down sight, I hold. Sprint, tactical focus, automatic tactical sprint, I am going to keep on. Now, this one might be something I change in the future because with slide canceling pretty much non-existent, you might actually find yourself with auto tac sprint off and using a setting that allows you to one-tap tac sprint. Because these guns, man, it takes you forever to get them up. So when you're going into a tac sprint and you got to get that gun down, it might actually hurt you to rock auto tac sprint now, because in previous games like Vanguard, Cold War, you could get those guns up really quick. Now it's like you're pulling up a sledgehammer. It might be useful to actually not rock automatic tactical sprint. Moving forward, we have equipment behavior is hold. ADS is weapon mount is ADS and melee. Interact is prioritize reload. So basically, if I tap, it's going to prioritize the reload, but if I need to open up a door, I hold and that will open up the door. Armor plate, make sure you have apply all. This is a Warzone setting. Make sure you have apply all. Advanced, target aim assist, you want on. A lot of people are saying Black Ops isn't as strong as you want as it used to be. People are like saying that it got nerfed. Probably it's all placebo, just like me saying high velocity rounds or armor piercing rounds make a world of difference. There's something new that came in called gyro aiming, which apparently allows you to use like the gyro to aim, but I'm not sure. It's not like what people were claiming with like the DS4 Windows where you can tilt down as you're shooting. Apparently it's related to something else completely different. I'm not 100% familiar with this. We've got to get in and do some testing on this, but I'm not going to touch anything there. Gyro behavior is off. Aim response curve, I have dynamic. That allows me to turn extremely fast, even at 6 sensitivity, but also have a little bit fine aim. Multiplier focus is at 1. This is a huge one right here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're paying attention. Input dead zones. Make sure to open this up because it defaults to something crazy high, like 0.20 or something. That means you're moving your thumbstick 20% of the way, and then it starts registering that you're moving. I have like 0 stick drift. I could probably take these all the way down to 0. And that way, when I make the slightest movement, I get just a small amount of aim change. Okay. If you go too low and you notice your character starts moving uncontrolled, up this until that stick drift goes away. Auto move forward is off. Tactical sprint behavior is single tap sprint. That would be if I had auto tac sprint off, but I have auto tac sprint on, so that doesn't really apply. Turn all of these off, because you don't want to auto mantle in this game. Basically what this means, if you want to mantle, you're going to have to press it twice, which is the benefit of having back paddles. Not going to invert the slide behavior. Make sure to turn off auto parachute deploy so you can get low to the ground. Sprinting door bash is standard. Ledge hang is mantle only. ADS stick swap is off. All of that is going to be as you see here. What I did change is weapon mount exit delay to short. What this does is it changes how long you need to be at the edge of a surface while you're mounted. So what I want is to be on that surface mounted shooting, and then the very second that I decide I need to get off and I pull myself away, whether it's pulling back or pulling to the edge so I can get myself down and under cover, I want that to be short. I don't want a really long delay on that, right? But I want that to be short so I can get off when I'm mounted as quick as possible. Deleted ammo weapon switch I have off. I'm usually tracking how much ammo that I have. So when I run out of ammo, I'm going to manually press triangle. If that's on, you'll end up doing a triangle and pulling back out your weapon with 0 ammo. Quick C4 detonation, you want to have off. So what this means is you have 2 C4s in your hand and you throw one. If you press R1, it will throw another. If you want to blow up that first one, you just double tap square because that is your interact button, or I think it's like double tap F on keyboard and mouse or double tap X on Xbox, and that will quick blow up only one. But if you want to throw 2 and blow up 2, that's how you would do that. All of this is just going to be a little bit more up to personal preference on that end. Moving over towards keyboard and mouse. I am a low sense player when it comes to keyboard and mouse, okay? So I have 800 DPI and I play at 2.9. What this allows me to do is whenever I'm playing, one swipe for me is a 180. So I swipe once, I can turn immediately in one direction. If I want to do a 360, I just swipe twice. That's no matter what game I play, one swipe, and a swipe is whatever's comfortable for you as a player, ends up being 2.9 at 0.8 DPI. Sensitivity multiplier is 1, ADS sensitivity multiplier is 1, ADS sensitivity type is relative, 1.3. No custom changes here. Mouse calibration, make sure you have mouse smoothing off, and also make sure you go into your Windows settings and have mouse acceleration turned off as well. For gameplay, I have toggle. For prone behavior, I have go to because I actually have one of my mice buttons bound to prone. So I go to prone and I can hold that or tap it or spam it or whatever, and I'm just going to go to prone and I'm just going to get on the ground, and it works out really well for drop shots. I am going to use auto tac sprint for now. Double tap, or actually I would use single tap sprint if I did get rid of auto tac sprint. I have automatic airborne mantle off, as I talked about earlier. And a lot of this is going to be the same that we talked about. Armor plates, make sure you apply all. A lot of this is going to be very, very similar to what we were just talking about with controller. I will show you real quick some of the changes that I made. Prone is set to a mouse button. Crouch and slide is set to left control for me. The rest of this is standard. Weapon mount is Z. Melee is E. Lethal equipment, I have bound to my center scroll wheel. That way I can click it and then aim and then release it. And I'm aiming while I'm releasing. It kind of feels like I'm throwing it with my right hand. It works out really well for me. Armor plates, I have set to 4. Ping is the front button on my mouse. And that's about it. I have voice chat bound to bracket, which is bound to one of my foot pedals. And that's how I can talk in game, as I just step on one of my foot pedals and it talks through that. But ladies and gentlemen, Hope you guys are ready. You're probably eager at this point to get into the game, so go play. If you're still downloading it or if you have questions for me, make sure to ask me a question. Keep in mind, this was released with the new, you know, graphics that we're all playing on, because Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 are on the same engine. If I have any changes, they will be made in the pinned comment, so make sure you were checking the pinned comment. If I change any of these for stability or for performance, I will let you know what those changes are down in the pinned comment, which will also be right next to the merch drop. If you guys want to check out that merch for the holiday season, make sure to check it out there. I will be doing a subathon over on Twitch as well if you want to take part in that fun. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, have a kick-ass rest of your day. Enjoy your drops into Al Mazrah, and I'll see you out there. Peace.